Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this video is about what does it mean if you have Saturn conjunct Venus in your birth charts. So there's a blog associated with this video, so do look for more detail into the blog. And actually this video is one of 12 add-on videos to my December Star Wheel Astrology and Healing newsletter. So if you, and the reason I'm mentioning it now is because on the 11th of December there's actually Saturn and Venus conjunct in the heavens in Vedic Sagittarius, where there are so many exceptional number of planets at the moment. And so that means that many humans will be born with a Saturn-Venus conjunction. But of course the value of this blog isn't just for December astrology, it's for all time. What does it mean if you have Saturn conjunct Venus in your birth chart? So basically this does create really big scripts for love and difficult scripts, karmic. So the basic principle is inhibition in love life, suffering through love. So a guy who has this in his chart, it does mean women will be hard on him, maybe the mother, maybe the partners. Another dimension is, this is a person who can be cool in their show of affections. And that, of course, is a wound and a barrier to Venus expression. So there can be even coldness, sexual inhibition, emotional inhibition. But on the positive side, Saturn conjunct Venus people do seek for commitment normally, particularly when they've healed the wounds, and they seek to be faithful usually. But it does create a huge dimension through your life of duty, of soberness, of restriction, of barrier to full expression. And at the financial level, there can be thrift, either always or for periods when Venus or Saturn are activated by transit or dasha, Vedic predictive period, etc. In fact, usually, and this is the truth is, these people are hoarders. They always buy quite a lot of something because you never know when you'll run out and you might not be able to get it and you might not have enough money. And apparently, I've looked at the charts of some immensely rich people and, who influence countries' economies, and they, impose thrift on their country or their bank or whatever and hoard. So there's an instinctual fear of lack, and maybe you could go back into your past lives or your ancestry. So for example, do you have an ancestry maybe that encompasses the Irish famine, which of course was so deadly? And also, it can mean marry for money. And I've particularly found this in the opposition, Saturn opposite Venus, people who marry for money and, have a horrible little life, but, their partner is propping them up through the little salary check each month. A separation in love can happen, whether or not the marriage continues. There can be separation in love, and there can be a tendency to make sacrifice. I mean, these people can be very sacrificial, supporting their family members, their friends, their colleagues, go to great lengths to put their time and energy into helping and sacrificing their own situation for others. Now, in the associated blog, which you must look at, the address is down here. It's my Michael Conneely Star Wheel blog. I show 2 examples. This is really important. How do the planets treat each other? So I'm using a Rashi Avashta's technique. So how does your Saturn treat Venus? And how does your Venus treat Saturn? And the first example in the blog is a case of where Venus really gives and gives and gives to Saturn. Venus gives and gives and gives and gives, whatever the misery, whatever the cost, Venus is there giving, giving, giving. And then if you look at how Saturn treats Venus, Saturn takes, takes, takes and takes. And that is a terrible recipe for unhappy marriage. And it would need to be healed. And my wife Maggie Pashley does healing modalities, healing these problems in love. Heart wall clearing, emotional freedom technique, past life regression, future life progression. Look at the maggiepashley.com website for some details of these. Get an astrology reading from me if any of this applies to you. I always combine Western and Vedic astrology. But the second example is of a case where Saturn gives and gives and gives to Venus, and Venus gives and gives and gives to Saturn. And this is said, one of the Indian cultural statements is this is the ideal Hindu wife. And so it's the person who realizes that happiness can be found in the simple things. So it does depend on how your Saturn and Venus treat each other. So that's why I say get a reading from me, where I can go through, for example, that analysis. But also, for example, I can bring in Western psychodynamic astrology. So maybe your Venus will be cut off from the rest of your chart by another aspect. So if your Venus is obviously on the rim of your chart and then cutting off Venus, there might be an aspect of which means hard work, hard work, hard work. So you'll endlessly, I must do that bit more work and I must finish they're waiting for us at the office and love doesn't happen. And it's good to actually have that pointed out from your astrology. So I want to say that having Saturn conjunct Venus in your birth chart is a huge presence in your life. It needs to be recognized. It needs to be heard. It's karmic. So get a reading, and it needs to be healed. So have the healing modalities. Have a look for more detail in the associated blog. Go to my starwheelastrology.com website to book a reading, and to maggiepashley.com to book the healings. Thank you.